Live from WHIT Radio Studios at High Tech High School in North Bergen, New Jersey, it's Second Take, and now your host, Sam the Man.
Hold on, let me fix this. Alright, I'm Sam the Man, that's Muhammad the Magnet, and Ratchet Richie. This is Second Take. Welcome to a special World Series, and a little bit of a debate later on show about the Washington Redskins name and its impact, and how we should feel about that, just in general. But first, let's start off with the World Series. Congratulations to the San Francisco Giants for winning the World Series. This is the third time in very recently.
Last 5 years.
The last 5 years, thank you. I just needed the stat. Madison Bumgarner went 3-0, won the MVP of the World Series. Did he turn off? What's going on?
Okay, he went 3-0 at the World Series.
No, what was that?
Oh.
What happened?
So
So now that I've lost my train of thought and had to reacquire it,
Yes.
we're sorry.
To our
Our
fans,
intern Aaron is just
our loyal fans. No,
rookies.
all right. So as I was saying, Madison Bumgarner pitched a hell of a game. I mean, just incredible.
I coached him.
I mean, Sam, when you think about it, were you really surprised at all, considering that?
I mean, I
Bumgarner-
thought the Royals could win, but with the Giants postseason experience and their talented pitching, it was just it was a matter of time before they won.
Now that it's all said and done, it kind of seems like it was a Cinderella story for the Royals to begin with.
Everybody's saying that, but you forget that they had a very good record. It's not like they were some crap team who had to play. In fact, I would say I would make the argument it was more of a Cinderella for the San Francisco Giants.
You think so?
They had to play the one-game wild card in order to get into the playoffs,
Well, the
and
Royals
then
did have also have to
no,
play
they
one
didn't.
game.
They didn't, did they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
They did.
So maybe it was the same, but
Maybe it
still,
was just a whole Cinderella story.
But the Royals had one of the better records in baseball. I'm pretty sure they had a better record than the Giants.
Yeah.
They just, it just shows that postseason experience wins out
And we
more
can say
often
with
than not.
confidence that Madison Bumgarner definitely deserves
The
World Series
MVP, yeah. And you know what? It just shows because you see two pitchers, him and Clayton Kershaw. I'm using these two because they're both, very talented National League pitchers. And you see what postseason experience can do because Clayton Kershaw completely broke down in the MLB postseason against, was it the internet's down? Sorry, we'd have it right away, but the internet's not really working. I believe it was the Cardinals, but I'm not exactly sure. He did, but he did break down, and I think that's due to his youth and his inexperience in the postseason, and everybody, just. Who's speaking under the mic? I'm not speaking under the mic.
Rich. Rookie.
So as I was saying before more signs and interruptions came, I think that everybody bagging on Kershaw right now for his inability to play in the playoffs, I think that's just the result of his not being there for too long.
I also think it's just Clayton Kershaw. I think Clayton Kershaw is the type of player, and we have this type of player throughout sports in general, that just does not show up when it comes postseason.
I don't think that we can make that.
Because it's not like Clayton Kershaw is a young player either. Like he's 28, I believe.
I think he's younger than that, and that's still pretty young for baseball.
No, it is young for baseball.
That is
I'm
young
pretty
for
sure
baseball.
He turned 28 this year.
But that's really young for baseball.
I don't know. I don't think we can give Clayton Kershaw the excuse.
I can. Yes,
that
I
he's
will.
young and
Yeah, I'm gonna give him. If
next postseason, Dodgers make the playoffs, and Clayton Kershaw does not show up, are you gonna give him the same excuse? Or
If he does better than this year, yeah. As long as you show progress and improvement.
Hold on. So Jordan's not clutch because he lost how many years before he won a championship? Was it
Well, he
6 or
didn't
7?
have the team.
Well, no.
He didn't have the team ready to even make a deep run in the playoffs.
Well, Clayton Kershaw didn't have his team show up as well as you would have expected. Puig didn't really show up.
Dodgers had a
They have a good team that didn't really show up too well. Puig didn't really show up.
You also have Clayton Kershaw who did not show up, period.
He's young. He has no postseason experience.
Not young.
You can't get on young players for not having experience.
I don't care what sport it is. 28 is not young.
Yes, it is.
28 is.
Yes, it
baseball. You just
baseball
said.
Is young.
You just said
because you know why it's different. You know why it's different.
23. He's been in the league for what?
You know why?
How many times has he been in the playoffs?
Hold on. Yes, they enter the league very young, but they don't make it till the majors until a certain point in their career. And he's 26, which is still pretty young.
It is pretty young.
Plus, on top of it, how many times has he been to the playoffs? I just don't think we can
be giving him the excuse.
I'm going to give him that excuse.
All right, you know what? Fine. But if next season, I'm going to remember this. I'm putting you on the record.
All right.
If next postseason, Dodgers make the playoffs, and he does not show up, you cannot give him this excuse. Because we've seen him in the playoffs before. He has some type of experience. We cannot give him the same excuse.
He's still young.
Even next postseason.
If next postseason, if this happens consistently, sure, let's say it. But we can't make that conclusion now. We can't make that conclusion now. We can't just say, all right, after 26 years old, he's the worst postseason player in the history of baseball. No, we cannot say that.
I'll give him a pass.
So continuing on with this, I mean, it just shows you what happens with experience. But I think that on both sides, you had mistakes. I mean, there were certain the error that almost cost them the game in the Giants. I mean, that whole time, the whole series, they really didn't have a strong defensive outfield with experimenting with Ishikawa, the first baseman who went there, which, I don't think is a smart move in general. You don't move a first baseman to the outfield and try to teach him that in the World Series. That's not something you do.
I mean, this is also a real testament to the consistency and greatness of the Giants in recent years.
Yeah, the manager, especially.
To win 3 World Series in 5 years, that's nothing to scoff at.
It's not. Yeah, that is a dynasty in sort of technical terms.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to our next topic, and we're gonna invite Mr. DePiero to join us on the show.
It's time for Mr. DePiero.
Mr. DePiero is a Washington Redskins fan, and today we'll be discussing the debate about the name.
Hello, everyone.
All right, Mr. DePiero, what is your feeling about this growing
controversy?
Sort of what?
Controversy.
It's always been a controversy. This push, this movement now to change the name.
Change the name.
Change the name?
I'm a lifelong Washington Redskin fan, and I think that they should change the name from Redskins to something else.
To something else? Do you have any ideas of what else? Or?
Well, you know what? NFL has a lot to do with money, and has a lot to do with branding your team. And the Indian symbol is very, very
offensive,
marketable. And they make, it's been around a long time. I don't think they should lose that Indian symbol. So, you got the Washington Indians, the Washington Warriors, the Washington Braves. Get some kind of.
I think that they should move away from the Native American stuff a little bit. I think that
just completely change the
not
whole
complete.
icon.
Well, you gotta take it one step at a time. You can't just do everything cold turkey. You gotta.
Keith Olbermann, he put out his idea was to use the Washington Americans. You could keep the same logo, but this way you sort of honor them a little bit more than the Washington Redskins. What would you feel about that?
The Washington Americans.
Washington Natives.
Natives is I feel like it's never been done in sports, but I feel like that would not be a bad name.
The Washington Native Americans?
No, just
Washington Natives.
I don't know.
There's a Pelican team out there, so at this point you can put anything there, man. You know what I mean?
What were New Orleans thinking? What were they thinking when they made what? Pelicans.
You mentioned that you think that they should keep the logo, and it is a very recognizable logo. But another point to this that I think a newspaper made was that they're losing money because of they're losing a lot of money compared to other teams. They're not growing as fast due to the racism marked with the team name. But also, I would say that maybe they should change the logo just because now that if they change the logo and change the name, they can sell new merchandise and make a lot of money from the first year of selling merchandise, such as we've seen with the Pelicans and teams
Brooklyn.
like that. Yeah,
Brooklyn made a huge profit.
If you're
they had
able
a
to,
really nice first season.
I mean, I have like.
It has nothing. Well, before even the season, everybody
Yeah.
was going nuts over the jerseys, the
Yeah.
whole black and white,
Yeah.
how nice that looked. I mean, if you market it correctly, you can make a lot of money from changing the name.
it's something where you have to make everybody happy,
Yeah.
and changing that is going to make a lot of people unhappy.
Because the Redskins, it's an
The
organization with tradition.
Right.
Yeah. So
it is one of the oldest football teams out there.
Yeah.
You know, and
You have some old fans like you, Mr. Pirro. I mean, you are young.
Mr.
but
DePiero is 23.
But, Mr. Piro's been there since day one.
Stop.
So.
He's like, I
heard
you're,
that
you're
when
a sophomore, right?
I'm a sophomore in my
Sam, you just
20th year in college. How about that? But yeah, growing up, you never heard anything about the Redskins name being derogatory, and I'm pretty sure that when the team, the NFL, the Washington franchise used the Redskin name, they got approval from the Indian tribes. They some of the Indian tribes, they honored the leaders of the Indian tribe, maybe gave them money or land or something. So if you go back into the history, the Indians approved the Redskin word. They were backing it. They were proud of it. But through time, you realize that it was a derogatory term.
Well, again, we changed the meaning.
They probably didn't even know back then
I mean,
that Redskin
I don't think
was
we
bad.
changed
You know,
the meaning. I think the meaning was always the same. But I don't know if they approved it or not, but I do know that the creation story that Dan Snyder's putting out is not something that actually happened. He said that the owner that changed the name, George Preston Marshall, he claimed that he named it after the Native American coach. I don't know his name. But I believe that there was an article that he wrote, the owner, George Preston Marshall, wrote that actually debunked that and said,
oh, really?
Despite what you all believe, I have not named the team after this coach. And I think the coach also was a fake Native American in order to dodge a draft. I don't know if that's true, but
Wow.
I believe that's true.
I could see that. With the NFL being
So I mean,
involved.
the tradition is there, but I mean, if you want to, like, the tradition going back to the beginning, I mean, if it's based off of, the name was changed. I think the name was changed to be more like baseball. I think there was, like, an Indian team that did, I think it was the Boston Braves won the World Series, something close by, so they wanted to change the name to something Native American because they thought that would catch on and bring them in money. But, I mean, it seems to have started as a tradition of money, and I think that, like, I don't know.
I think what needs to be done is you have just a straight poll of how Native Americans feel, or have
No, the Native Americans said they wanted to change.
which they have already.
Yeah,
but they tried
have a more legit one.
They tried
Believe it
doing
or
that,
not.
but what they did was it was skewed because they asked anybody who claimed to have like a great grandfather who was like full Cherokee.
Well, what I would do is have an actual statement coming out of the tribes, coming out of the land.
They don't like it.
They don't like it.
They don't.
Which they have come out.
Yeah,
Which
and
I
they
think
don't like it.
I think there's no more argument.
Again, but you also want to pay
There's
attention
going
to
to
what
be-
the fan base wants.
and this
Mr.
is big
Piro's a
news.
fan who wants the name changed, but there are also fans who don't want the name changed.
You
You,
know
have to
what,
look at
though?
that too.
Yeah,
And
but-
Mr. DePiero had a point. You have to do something that makes everybody happy. In this
Well,
case, you can't do that.
I mean, but the time's are ticking because this week it's big news because there's going to be 5,000 people at least at a protest protesting the Minnesota game, and the FCC is talking about because it was a big deal. The big deal came from the Minnesota Vikings are leasing out University of Minnesota Stadium. And the University of Minnesota has ties with, I don't know what Native American tribe, but they have ties with some Native American tribe, and they didn't want the name Redskin displayed in their stadium. And so they were trying to get, it not displayed, and it didn't work out. They could still display the name and everything in the stadium, but it just shows that more and more people are now objecting to it. Phil Simms hasn't said it in a while. There was a referee, there was a NFL referee, NFL official who wouldn't officiate any game the Washington Redskins played in for 6 years. Would not officiate it and didn't want anybody to know about it either. He just said, "I don't want to be associated with something like that." I think countless other people, broadcasters, have signed on to not saying the name. The FCC, I think, is coming close to banning it on to
TV?
becoming to having it become one of those words that you can't say on TV. The trademarks, have already
And I think
there's
it
no
has the
trademark
right-
on it anymore. So
It has the right to
time's
be one of
ticking.
those
I
words
mean,
at this point too, because they've gone through their hardships in this country,
sooner
the
rather
travel
than-
tiers, things
yeah.
like that. So
I can't think of. I mean, Well, I can, but actually, no, I can't. I can't think of any other race that has gone through more.
Well, again, blacks in the
Well,
country have
Japanese-
gone through their thing.
Japanese.
The Japanese
Well,
people.
you had Native Americans who literally pushed out
Yeah.
of their own country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
but
came in here.
yeah.
We practically.
Well, Mo
killed
would know.
them.
Mo
We
would know a little
practically
bit
killed
about
them.
getting pushed out of his own country.
We practically killed them off, and we gave them little pieces of land just to
Yeah.
satisfy them.
Sam knows.
Sound
I
familiar?
think it's the race that has gone through most. To be honest,
It's eventually going to happen, I think.
I
Yeah.
It's just too much
I think
pressure,
you-
and it's going to be
Yeah, the
more
name
and
change-
more and more.
And
And,
it-
like you said, now the FCC is
I mean-
involved.
I
It's
mean,
like
you
can't
know-
even
I think
say-
you'd rather have a few
And
angry fans than
it's up-
controversy.
and it happened before. The St. John's.
Yeah,
Changed it from-
and the University of Miami and Ohio Redhawks used to be named the Redskins as well. And there's also a high school in Pennsylvania that the kids protested the name. The newspaper in the school would not print the name,
Mhm.
and they all got suspended. The staff suspended them for not printing the name.
Wow.
Wait, they got suspended for it?
Yeah, because it's the high school name. That's the high school mascot. But I mean, I think that what Dan Snyder has two options. He can either keep fighting this and keep with his stubbornness, or he can own it and he could become the change. And if he becomes the change, it's almost like it doesn't sound good, but it's all forgiven pretty much.
Are we gonna really
that
see
point.
that? Because NFL
I don't think-
owners.
I don't think we
right
will.
now you're gonna have angry fans, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're gonna look at it and he's gonna be glorified for it. I believe he will. Because at the end of the day, you will have angry fans who.
The
have been
NFL
Redskin
owners
fans
aren't looking
such
for that
long
much.
times,
They're not looking
who
that far in
don't
the
want
future.
change. But you know, it's something you can get over. Really, a name. Come on. When you have the race, it's just you don't have animosity towards it. I think it's just eventually gonna happen no matter what.
Well, I mean, it has to happen. It's gonna happen.
I think it happened in less than 5 years.
And
I think so
Yeah.
too.
I think in the next 5
Yeah.
years we can see it happen.
It's really possible at this point.
and if they keep playing the way they have been, it's gonna happen pretty soon.
It's football, though. You know, it's just football.
Yeah.
Just change the name. I can understand if it was I don't
Something,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, something big.
Something-
And there's no other names in professional sports that are derogatory, right? Can you name of any other team that's
No,
having
I-
problems with their?
I know NBA
Well, you know what?
has
I
The-
also
the-
feel
the
like,
Cleveland
I also feel
Indians.
like- I also
They-
feel
they
like we
still
don't
get-
think
Well,
the
the Cleveland.
Indians-
Well, that's mostly because they named it after the right reason. I believe that they named it after one of their players who was Native American and who died. I don't know what he died of, but they named it after him. But I mean, their whole personification of it is a little bit like
Mhm.
their whole logo and everything.
I also feel like this country and NFL fans don't feel or realize the derogatory, sense of
Yeah.
it because of the fact that I feel like Native Americans just aren't presented as much in this
Yeah,
country.
they're not. I mean, it's only a small percentage of people.
Yeah, and they're just not represented as well. So
Yeah.
I think that's the reason we're so, in a way,
Exactly.
ignorant to it. We are ignorant to it, I
Yeah.
think. This country is.
And that's why we
What do you
have.
guys feel as a younger generation? What do you think? They should change it?
I think
Yeah.
they should change
I
it.
mean, if people are
If the
offended
race-
towards it, yeah.
If the
you-
race itself is against it, they should
Yeah.
definitely change it.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other race.
I think in the future,
you-
like
you
right
both
now,
said
we can say Redskins right now, but I think in the future it's gonna be like the W word or the N word. It's gonna be one of those words in the future.
Well, that's a good point because I always say Redskins now. I won't even when the Redskins won. I posted on my Facebook Redskins
Yeah.
won.
And then we don't.
you know,
And this thing where we don't realize
when they change it, I'll stop saying Redskins.
Yeah,
you know?
I think we just don't realize that's the derogatory
Right.
term because they're just not represented as much as they should be. I feel,
Yeah.
and they should be.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
were here first.
that's true.
They were here first.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right, that's our show. Let us know in the YouTube comments what you think should happen to the Redskins name.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
Sam
Shapiro,
the
for coming
Man.
in.
That's Muhammad the Magnet, Ratchet Richie, and Crazy Chris.
Great show, guys. Thanks for having me on.
We love you, Mr. Crew.
Thanks for watching Second Take. Tune into WHIT Radio's YouTube page for more shows, and as always, have a good day.